financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Franti.
Well, thank you for joining Don Getling, Gino Franti, in the second half of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. That's right. For over 5 years now, we've had the pleasure of helping guide you to personal and financial wellness. It's been our slogan since day one, and it meant more than ever when we first started the show over 5 years ago, because we had a lot of us out there dealing with true hardships, and that might have been your home, might have been your job. And our goal with coming on the air was not because somebody pays us for this. We're still waiting for that check, right?
Someday, I hope. It's in the mail, I guess.
But as you know, being in the industry as long as we have and being part of our community, we felt it was only right to reach out to as many of you as possible and help guide you to personal and financial wellness. And now we've been able to put together, after 5.5 years and over 1,500 YouTube videos and interviews, is to find the right people in our community that can help guide you down that path. We brought in some of the best professionals there are in our valley. We're talking most 15 to 40-year veterans in every facet, whether it's financial, insurance, estate planning, college planning, you name it. We brought them all together, and they've interviewed them, and now they're part of one group called America's Professional Resource Group. And you can find this group at aprgi.com. That's aprgi.com. A lot of great information. We even have our own magazines that come out quarterly that guide you down the path. There's no ads. A lot of the magazines in town just basically an ad for their services, but this is actually articles guiding you down the right path, right, Gino?
Yeah, they're great articles, Don. They're always educational, and you know, what we've always found is that they're guiding us to personal and financial wellness, and all we're really doing is sharing that.
Utilize their services.
We are. We're
right.
like, it's like the hair club for men. I'm also a client. It's
not
not working though.
No. So one of our favorite guests we love to bring in, and we're very pleased because this is one of the busiest men in all Santa Clarita, no doubt. In fact, we have to make sure we're right on time every time, so because he's always got other projects ahead of him. But Bob Keller, multi-time mayor, councilman, heavily involved in our community. Every time I go to any community event, Bob Keller is there. I don't know how you have the energy or the time, but you spread yourself out throughout the community to give back, and I appreciate you taking time to be on our show again.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I want you to know that. And in all candor, there's a reason I go to a lot of this stuff. I love this community.
There's no doubt you do. That's why we love
it's a
having you on
fact.
the
I
show.
love this community. I'm so happy what we've been able to accomplish here, and so it's my pleasure to attend various functions and be part of it.
I mean, there's like every function.
Oh, I miss some. Trust me.
Not that many though, because it's always and unfortunately, there's a lot of the same of us that go to a lot of these events. But
That's
you're at a ton of these events, and we always, you know, one of our themes is always to have people on our show that give back to our community, because we live in this community, love this community, live off this community. We really do, and we know that, so we have to give back, and we make sure that our guests give back to our community, and nobody gives back more than you between. Being part of our community, not just in the events, but also on our city council and as a mayor, multi-time over. You keep coming back.
Like a bad penny. I don't know what to tell you.
You know, the other thing, too, is, you know, not too many people are so committed to our veterans as well. Mm-hmm. That's something that we talk about a lot on our show.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and I know that you've always are pushing forward initiatives to help veterans. I know that Don and I are passionate about it too. Mm-hmm. I know that here at Skyline we will fight tooth and nail to help a veteran into a home. So I think that's something critical that we all do together.
Thank you, and you're absolutely right. None of these things get accomplished by an individual. You know that. It's always a team effort, people working together, and together we're able to accomplish an awful lot.
I love it. So we've always bring Bob in to give us kind of some insight of what's happening in your community here. He's always got great insight and passion about what he really feels is going on and what's important to our community and stuff. Plus, Bob's also involved in the real estate community as well as an owner of Keller Davis Real Estate for, over 10 years now, 15 years, something like that?
You know, we are actually in our 16th year with Keller Davis Real Estate. Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's nice is Bob's got, you know, he understands it all, kind of like we get as involved as we do. So I know one of the major factors you were mentioning while we're getting all set up, a lot of you out there, and you're going to go, oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know one person that's going to say, no, not me.
Not me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have to deal with it too often. I unfortunately live right off the freeway, and I drive onto the freeway and get off and back.
That's true. All your driving is freeway driving. It's like 2 exits.
Yes, I'm pretty fortunate. But most of you out there have to deal with this thing called traffic. And we're not just talking driving to work to L.A. We're talking right in our own community here. And you're hearing this a lot right now, aren't you, Bob?
We are hearing an awful lot about it. Yes, we are.
So
And
tell us-
justifiably so. I want to say that. I'm not disagreeing with people by contacting City Hall and saying, what in the world is going on? And there's a number of factors that come into play.
And that's not an easy fix. That's not something that's like, oh, let's just flip the switch and tomorrow we gain 3 lanes on certain streets or anything like that. These are major projects that require planning and lots of expense, to be quite honest. I mean, how long did it take to build the connector?
Actually, if you look at it from literally last week, we had what I consider to be the absolute final activity in the Cross Valley Connector, which takes it to an approximately 13, 15-year program. It's an 8.5-mile stretch of roadway between the 5 and the 14. It's $245 million roadway.
Wow.
And so, and you're absolutely right. It's not a simple task. It's very, very challenging to build roads of that magnitude. And it takes a lot of people working together, and certainly this was a case in point where we had the private sector in a major way, along with our local funding, B&T fees. Those are bridge and thoroughfare fees. They played a role in it. The state played a role in it. The county played a role in it, and the feds played a role in it.
Wow.
You don't put together $245 million, just out of a single source.
Yeah, amazing. Like I said, great project. Actually, I think helps a lot. The other thing that I've noticed in a couple different areas where all of a sudden I have 3 turning lanes instead of 2 turning lanes to help as well. I noticed some of those changes happening where we're just moving the paint, and I think those are things that I'm sure engineers are working on going, wait a second, there's a bottleneck here, and if we move it this way and we move it that way, we can be more efficient.
I think it's important for our constituents to understand that at City Hall, we have full-time staff that are dedicated to nothing other than evaluating, studying, engineering, improving, doing whatever is necessary to help traffic flow in the city of Santa Clarita. And it's not an easy task, but you're right. We have made modifications to intersections, as you indicated, with additional left-hand turn lanes, perhaps. Perhaps it's a deeper pocket to accommodate more traffic. But it's an ongoing process, and it's critically important. As difficult as it can be for us currently, imagine if we were not doing that.
Right.
I mean, we'd be at absolute gridlock at times. But I want to ensure our citizens that City Hall takes very seriously our traffic issues and challenges. And
you try to go down to Banga? That's a weak project in itself.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that a joke? I remember the times when I used to say, I'll just take the 118 down to Topanga and then Topanga exactly. down to Ventura. That doesn't work anymore.
No, none of those streets work
Neither
anymore.
does the one you always want me to do. Get off on Victory, then move to take Hazeltine and go to, or take Havenhurst and go to Burbank, and then take Burbank and go to White Oak and all that whole do-si-do. It's just a distraction.
I was raised in the San Fernando Valley, and my memories are very fond. And no thank you. I have no desire to go back.
I feel the same way, Bob.
What's amazing, a lot of you out there don't realize how big our community is now, because I've been out here for a long time, as Bob have, but we're talking 220,000 people just in the city, but in overall Santa Clarita Valley, we're talking over 300,000 of us. That's going to create traffic. Plain and simple. That's a lot of people to figure it out.
That's a fact of life. Yes, it does. It creates a lot of traffic. And I would love to be able to say here, don't worry about a thing, folks. We're going to create a couple of new roads, and that's going to end all of our traffic problems. Just like the Cross Valley Connector was going to be the end all, right? That was going to solve all of our traffic problems. Of course not.
Right.
We are a growing community, but it's not just here. It's everywhere. I was talking recently to some folks, and I was describing to them, I remember before the San Diego Freeway existed, and going and taking Sepulveda through the pass going into the West Los Angeles area. And they had a turn there called Suicide Turn, because if you didn't slow down to about 10 miles an hour, you're going off the road. But I can remember those things. And
no 118.
And by the way, there was no traffic jam on Sepulveda going into West L.A. with 2 lanes in each direction. There was no traffic problem.
Right.
And look at it today.
Yeah, it's kind of like we have to, going from Simi Valley, you got off in Chatsworth, went down Devonshire.
Exactly.
And got across Balboa. I mean, these are the things that have changed. I've been out here for a long time and seen a lot of changes. We've had traffic problems since day one. Me, back in the day when I lived in Saugus, remember the Four Corners there was always an issue. Trying to
Sure.
get through there, you're backed up getting off the freeway. Everybody had to go down Valencia or one of the streets and try to turn down Bouquet. And it was backed up by, I don't know, hundreds of cars.
Yeah, it's
We've
a
always had
result
a-
of growth.
Yes.
That's what it always is. And you know what? Even if we fix it today and we grow more, then we create just a problem in a different area, or we need to expand more or come up with more efficient solutions. You know, I know we're probably 10 to 20 years away from 100% automated driving, but I think once that happens, you alleviate some of the traffic situation.
Well, being a little older, I'm not real thrilled about that idea of automated driving yet. I'm not quite there, but at the same time, as of recent, like I said, there's been a lot of attention. And honestly, there's a couple of reasons. Over in the Canyon Country area, over on Soledad, there has been some major road refurbishment. It's our overlay program, and here we are in the evenings, and traffic has been a mess. And I've been stuck in it 3 or 4 times recently, and I understand frustration when you want to be somewhere and you can't get there from here, you know. But the other side of the coin is it's now being wrapped up. We're just about there. And people are going to love that new road surface, and it's going to keep our road in excellent condition. And then in the mornings, school's back in. This thing didn't really hit us
Right.
until school came back.
Right.
And now in the morning with the additional traffic, and if there should be an incident, which it seems like at least 3 times a week there is on the 14 freeway heading into the valley,
Isn't that the truth?
then people get off at Sand Canyon and they look for shortcuts going through Plaza Rita Canyon and a variety of things, and it just becomes an absolute nightmare. And I got to tell you, if there's a hiccup on the 14, folks, I don't think there's an engineer anywhere that can figure out how we're going to avoid some major traffic issues. It's just a reality of life, unfortunately. But nevertheless, I don't want to sound as a naysayer. The city is doing everything we can. We just approved. We have had computerized signalization and so forth and things to work on our traffic patterns for years. Now there is a new state-of-the-art traffic system that we have approved to, again, try to take us to another level and improve, again, on our synchronization of our lights and so on to help facilitate traffic flow.
All right. Again, I always love getting great insights from Bob Keller. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. We're also going to talk about what's really happening in the real estate market today on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.